It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Robin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchi, and great to be here with you as usual. It's our very last show in the month of September. The week ahead is going to see Nigeria turning 54 as we celebrate our independence on the 1st of October. October also is going to bring another election in Adamawa State, where we're going to find out who's going to be the next governor to replace the impeached governor who was kicked out a couple of months ago. So politics is in the air, and we're going to be talking about that as we've been doing in the last couple of weeks in what we call the road to 2015. And I have here with me a very special guest, Dele Owolowo. He's going to be here talking about, things politically inclined as we go forward. Thanks for being here today, sir.
Thank you very much indeed for having me on.
Yeah, let's talk quickly about Ekiti State, which saw things get very heated in the last week. We did hear a lot of allegations across board from the governor-elect and the governor and supporters, and we heard even someone got killed in the process, and the judge got slapped. There's a lot happening in Ekiti State right now.
You said earlier when they wrote to 2015. Are you sure it's not a disaster to 2015 or just unfolding itself at the moment? The Ekiti election, or would we call it disaster as it is unfolding itself, is one of those things that might determine the way the 2015 election is going to turn out. If this is one state, one of the smallest states in the country, and we're having this kind of crisis, imagine what will happen in any of the bigger states as we go on. Whatever is unfolding in Ekiti State is not new. Those who know history would know this happened in the Wild Wild West in the 60s. The same thing happened. It's not new. The same thing happened in the 70s during the Omoburiwo era. The same thing, exactly the same Ekiti thing. So it's not new in that part of the country. Now, what it would lead to is another matter. When you get into a situation where just to hand over is causing so much problem, so much hassle, is there anything they're trying to hide that we don't know because of this handover? When you get into a situation where judges are being slapped, then that means there's a breakdown of law and order here. So what are we going to expect? We're turning 54 soon, okay? I don't think any parent prays for their child not to have found their feet at 54 years old, where we're having just simple election state just to transition to a new regime, and this is what we have to face. And do we even have the resources to police everything that's there? This is just one state. Now imagine 3, 4, 5, 6 having this around the nation. We're having security issues at the moment, which is tasking the armed forces, and we have one state taking a lot of resources just from this. And so far as I know, Ekiti is not one of the richest states in the country. So they're going to deploy a lot of resources just to police elections. Meanwhile, the other issues of education, transport, housing, agriculture, industrialization hardly addressed. And I'm pretty sure there is high unemployment in that state, but they're battling election issues just to transfer power from one governor to the other. This is our focus, transferring power from one set of group of people to the next set of politicians. No idea what's happening on the ground. No idea on how to move the state forward or the country forward. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this is played out in 2015. So you might say the road. I hope it's not a disaster to 2015.
You do actually do sound very pessimistic there.
No,
as much as what you're saying does make some sense. It's also, it's very heavy for a lot of Nigerians to actually take things like that and actually just assimilate them and believe that this is our reality. What then is good? You've already said it might be a disaster. With the presidential elections are going to be happening in February in 2015. What are some of the things you think is going to happen? Abubakar Atiku has officially declared that he's going to be running, for example. So it means the APC primaries is going to be something very interesting to watch as well. What do you think is going to happen with the presidential elections itself?
The presidential elections, I was on a radio station about 2 weeks ago, and we talked about this, and I said there that my mind's not 2015, it's actually in 2019. Whoever is being presented 2015 from either party, I'm not impressed. Personally, I'm not impressed. I'm looking at people who can galvanize the country forward. What you usually find they trot out, PDP or APC or whoever is in power, doesn't matter. I go for APIP, that's me. Any party in power, I'm not really that bothered. If you're there, you can fashion out something that can move the country forward, then we go forward. I don't see the moment with both parties. Whatever they come up with, I'm not impressed. That's my own personal opinion. For me to be galvanized into somebody who can move the country forward, I must see somebody who has a vision, has the capacity to actualize it, which I can't see. At the moment, we're running an economy which is solely based on, is monocultural, can't move forward. I don't see a practical step in trying to diversify us. There's no issue all these political parties are raising, which has not been raised since the 70s. We all know our problem. What's the solution? There's hardly been any solution on ground. Just by coincidence, I was just reading the paper today about this declaration, and what I saw there were what the previous government handled, which was things like education, health, transport, pension, all those kind of things. That's what you hear being trotted out all the time. These are consumption sectors. Yeah. They don't make money for a nation. We hardly talk about the areas that can make money for a nation. Health, education, transport, housing, pension, whatever. They don't make money. If the oil sector collapses today, we would all collapse. We're that non-productive as a nation. We don't produce anything. We all know this since the 70s. It's not new. Are any steps being taken? I can't see. I haven't seen any steps. Few here and there. Credit to the Federal Minister of Agriculture and the Minister. I give credit to him, and the Ministry of Trade and Investment. Some credit, yes. You listen to them, and the Minister of Finance. Some credit, but it is not enough. These political parties, the best thing they throw out is Nigeria is GDP, which I call us grand delusional people. I don't know what's GDP about that. They say we have the biggest economy in Africa. We're the biggest in consumption. We don't produce anything. So when they say the GDP...
But isn't that just a blanket? I mean, there are things that's changing, of course. You can't be that blanket and general without not producing anything.
Yeah, we don't produce that much. Go on the internet, because I'm not just talking about this. Go on the internet and Google import-export container ratio, Nigeria. Import-export container ratio. Anybody watching the program, please Google this. It will tell you that Nigeria at the moment imports 92%. This is according to some shipping companies who basically are engaging. We import 92%, we export 8%. 160 million plus of us can only export 8%. So we're 8% useful. So we are not a productive country at all. Take away the oil, we would collapse. We are running what I usually call a lap crew economy, Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. That's the economy we are running. Lagos is only the commercial capital because of the ports. The banking sector, telecom sector, transport sector, education is dependent on the ports. That's why the governor, whom I admire, is in a panic over it. If Apapa collapses today, Lagos would collapse. Abuja, for all we care, is just a politically consumption elite. If Abuja today declares independence, I will clap my hand. Let them stay. Abuja without Nigeria's money would not survive 3 months. They take from the nation.
Let's not try to get a little too edgy there.
No. It's just
let's keep things clean.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sorry about that. If we go down to Port Harcourt, as we know, it still produces 80% of Nigeria's foreign exchange. 80%. There's one caveat to that. If all foreigners today leave Port Harcourt and they carry all their dredging, drilling, excavating, and offshore equipment, we, 160 million plus of us, cannot get that oil or gas. So we are non-productive. Don't let's kid ourselves about the GDP. Look at the GNP, that's gross national product, which I call gross Nigerian productivity. Nigerians, you and I, what do we produce as a people? We don't. I don't see any of these parties addressing that. I don't see that. So whoever declares or not is not my focus. Can they really galvanize us forward? I don't see that, I'm sorry.
Okay, I think you put everything there pretty succinctly. I mean, we went from politics talking about the realities in Nigeria. Just on a final note now, you are a rural entrepreneur. What do you think, because nobody seems to really talk about the people in the rural areas a lot. What do you think matters to them most? Because we talk about security a lot amongst, we go to the urban areas, we're talking about Boko Haram and Ebola and all of this. What matters most to the rural community today with the elections coming? Very quickly, please.
Thank you for asking that question. I just moved to the rural area 2 years ago. That's why I coined out the lap crew places that Nigeria revolves around: Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt. And I, on the other hand, believe the real Nigeria, I call them the fake Nigeria, the real Nigeria is in the rural sector. And I have an experience of it. And there's a total disconnect between the rural sector and the urban sector. Meanwhile, Nigeria's fate lies in the rural sector. What are their concerns? Are just basic survival. That's what's happening. Water. There's hardly water. I wouldn't even talk about power. We're still struggling in the urban sector, so power is not there. Roads. I mean, we're talking about agricultural transformation. There's hardly roads into the rural area. So how do we get goods into the urban areas? That's difficult. Let's not go into the railway system, which hardly touches the rural area. It doesn't even exist, as we know. So what they are concerned about is just basic things, good education, good schools, basic health. But one thing that's almost lacking is employment in the rural sector. That's why you have this gravitational pull towards the Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt crew places, because there's very little jobs, very few jobs in the rural sector. If you create that, people will stay back. Agro-allied industries, some small-scale industrialization companies, that will keep people back. Make the educational sector better. If you can fund it, then that's better. That will keep people back. That's what I think. That's what they lack in the rural sector, because I'm experiencing it. I stay there now.
Thank you very much, Dele. I mean, if we have a lot to talk about, of course. I mean, the elections are still a couple of months away, so I'm sure we're going to have you back and talk a little more about some of the things we would expect from our politicians going forward. Thanks again for being here today.
Thank you very much. Much obliged. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
We're going to take a very quick break now and be right back with more. Please stay with us.